Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing well. Tonight I've got a pretty cool guest, somebody who is very well known to the community, and is I think one of the best guitar players in our community, if not the best. Absolutely great player, and he writes some really, really cool music. And yeah, I'm real happy to have him on. So without further ado, let's have Hetriani come on. Hey man, how are you?
Hey bud, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing? We just met. We haven't spoken at all. This is the first time we're seeing. I'm kidding. We've been on talking for the last half hour. All right. Before we get going, I want to say hello to the folks that are in here. We've got a few in here already. Nelson Rodriguez, welcome. Ed B, nice to see you. Sandra Picorni, how are you? Yeah, thanks, Sandra. If anyone's got questions for me, please throw a bunch of question marks in front of the question if you have questions for myself or Hetriani, because I'm streaming to both Facebook and YouTube, so I'm using the StreamYard chat, so I can't see highlighted names. R3 is with us. Welcome, Darren Deneliak. I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome. What else we got in here? It's going down. Preston Smith, how are you? Okay. Thrash is here. Paul Liu, nice to see you guys. Stafford's Music, how's it going? Gary Hubbs, Fandango. Love that song. James Severin is with us. Just going down. Okay. James Severin. Okay, said hello. Dwight Bailey, nice to see you. Terry Himes is with us. Mark Wade, how's it going? Andy Dion is here. Awesome. Thanks everybody for popping in. Much appreciated. Gene Schmidt, another monster player in the community. Another great man. That guy's a beast. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff. He's a monster player. DB Made is here. Ron Limber, tearing up the back roads. How's it going? Dale Palmer. Okay, I think I got. Did I get everybody? Guitar Man 45. Francis is with us. Welcome, Francis. Dan in New Jersey. Cecil Music. BC Rich 581. Now everybody's flooding in. Oh boy. Mark Tanner. Dan in New Jersey. All right, I think I got everybody. So, folks, if you've got questions again, throw a bunch of question marks in front of the question, and we will get to it. Han 36 Solo just popped in. We got 37 folks watching. This is awesome. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys.
Rick Hefner and Bubba just joined us. All right, so let's start at the beginning. So how old were you when you first picked it up, and what got you into music to begin with?
I was about 17 when I got my first guitar.
Wow.
So, like I said before, as far as learning goes, it's kind of late for some people. But my cousin actually was the one that got me into most of my music. He was older than me. You know, he had the car, drive us around, listen to Metallica, AC/DC as loud as humanly possible. And so, yeah, he kind of got me interested in it. And he had friends that were in bands and stuff, and he was always bragging about it. And I wanted to be cool too. So I thought, well, I'll get a guitar. Why not? And I sucked really bad and quit for probably another year after that. Wow. So yeah, it was a process. I had to learn to love guitar. It frustrated me.
Did you get lessons, or self-taught, or?
No, my parents wouldn't get me lessons. I couldn't afford lessons, so I just would get books and magazines and stuff, go to the public library, because back then that's what we did, right? Yeah. No internet. So yeah, I would go there and I'd get books and learn about scales and chords and yeah, I would sit at home in my room, put pictures of Angus on the wall, and try and put my fingers where his fingers were, and see if it made any sounds.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of people, I think. Yeah, the parents didn't want to do the lessons, and yeah, then you kind of had to take it on. Were you one of the guys? I used to do this. Like I'd watch I mean, there wasn't even much music or for the Americans MTV back then, but there'd be the odd music show that would be on. Sometimes I'd watch the guy's hands just to see what he was
Yeah,
doing,
absolutely.
how to form a chord, and then of course
I
once
used
the bar chord, yeah, hey, you can play that everywhere.
exactly. You can move it wherever you need to.
There
I
you
used
go.
to like watching the buskers too. In Stratford, we had a lot of guys that would play on the street corners. Like every other street corner had, well, not compared to Toronto. I guess you've got way more there, but yeah, we had guys everywhere. So I would just sit there and watch them. And as they were playing or they were done a song, I'd ask them what they did or how they did this and stuff. And most of them were really good. They'd sit down and tell you, "Oh, I just do it like this," and you know, you learn things from just asking people questions too. Most people are more than willing to help you out.
Yeah, especially if it's something like guitar where it's a hobby and they want to share their hobby
Right.
with you, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So how long after starting to play did you get into a band or were you like just on your own was that something you were trying to do or get into a band or just wanted to get
Well, I
back?
had a couple of friends and wanted to start a band. So when we were, finishing high school up, we were going to start this band. And, we had the drummer who was going to be the drummer, but didn't own a drum kit, things like that. Uh, so it slowly progressed to where I started meeting other musicians. And I was in about 3 or 4 bands into my mid 20s, I guess. And the last one I was in before one of my breaks was we were going in the studio and we were tracking. I think we were going to do 4 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 of us had jobs, one of us didn't, and the one that didn't tend to take more time in the studio and cost more money in the studio. So we ended up running dry and only got 2 songs done. So, and that was the end of the band. Everybody fought and argued, so it was done.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like at that age, man, everyone's so full of piss and vinegar that
Yeah.
yeah, that's when all the bands break up, and that when you get to be older, there's not as much of that. I'm not saying there isn't,
No,
but a
a
hell of a
little
lot,
more compromise.
a
Yeah.
little more, yeah, just a little more, yeah. Cool. So you said a break. So you started at 17, and then when did you take your first hiatus from guitar?
Probably about 23, 24. I took a couple of years off. I didn't want to do it anymore. I had done the teaching thing in Stratford. I had done all this band stuff, and it had blown up in my face. I was just like, whatever. So I stopped, and then I guess so. I met another guy who was another guitar player, and he wanted to start a band. I used to play guitar, and so him and I kind of hooked up and found other musicians to work with, and it worked much better. We went for about 2 years, I guess.
Like originals, covers? What were you guys doing?
Both. We every band I've been in, we've tried to make a valiant effort to do originals and not just cover songs.
Right.
Um, it I have a hard time working with people writing originals because I'm afraid of stepping on someone's toes all the time, and I can be quite opinionated. So I worry that working with people in a band situation like that, I would rather write something and bring it,
Right.
and then we can all kind of flesh it out a little bit. But to sit and try and come up with something in a band situation like that, I find I'm way too verbal, and people get annoyed with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, usually the author of the song kind of has their vision
Right.
of what they want to hear, and if you're not doing what they're expecting, or if you have other ideas that don't, yeah, that could get that can get messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you manage to get through the recording? Did you get like anything put out? Did you get to that point where you got CDs out?
No, never ever got to that point in any time I've been in a studio with a band. I've done more on my own on YouTube than I ever did in a band situation. It's sad, really. Most of us, I think it's more just the money. We would get so far, and then money would run out, and we weren't done or weren't happy with what we had done in the studio or whatever. And of course, by this point, we've all got kids and families and stuff, and we're trying to spread the money out. And most of the time, gigging didn't give you a whole lot, so even the money we pulled from that, we tried to pool into to put toward the studio stuff, but it was still not enough for where we were recording to finish anything off completely. We came out with a bunch of what I would call demos.
Right.
It's so nothing that I would want to release.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, like nowadays, anybody with a computer and, can do it at home now, right?
Exactly. Right.
But back then, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I did one, I guess, record, if you want to call it that. I mean, we didn't even do press. We just made a bunch of cassettes out of it, and then we sold them. And then we sold them, and basically that kind of paid for them, but paid for the studio time and the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, it was, and we were doing it at rock bottom prices because we were friends with the guy that owned the place.
Well, that's kind of handy.
Yeah, it worked out well. It was actually a really cool setup because the guy, he had all the gear, he had the board, he had all that, but he also had bands rehearse in the studio part. So,
okay.
Right. So you go there and rehearse, and his name was Mike, and you'd see Mike and you talk to Mike and you get to know Mike and this and that, and then next thing you know, hey Mike, we want to do some recording, and he's like, yeah, it worked out really, really well. Yeah, I don't think you find guys like that anymore.
Not really, no.
Yeah, but cool. So what were some of your I mean, you could kind of guess by Hetriani who some of your influences were. But oh my God, Rebel Rocker, thank you so much. Wow, she just made a massive super chat. Thank you so much.
Holy moly, Rebel.
Wow, really appreciate that. Thank you. Rebel Rocker,
that's awesome.
Ask any question you want. Knock yourself out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so your influences, I'm guessing with Hetriani, so Hetfield, right? Metallica?
Yep, absolutely. And, well, I'm sure you can figure out the other one too.
Hetriani?
Yeah. Those were the two, I think, that made the biggest impact on me. Well, I mean, aside from AC/DC. But in what I want to do as music for myself. I like, even with the stuff I try and write now, I try and have those two distinct personalities in what I write. So right. It'll have maybe that heavy metal, and the rhythm guitar is real thick and fat, and the vocals will be my vocals, whatever. But the solos of stuff would still have that legato-y kind of melodic. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that I could take the two things that I love the most and try and make something out of that, and still try and make it my own at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. We haven't even talked about your singing, but I mean, you sound like freaking. I don't. Is that intentional? Is that just what comes out?
I think because I didn't know how to sing, and I thought I wanted to start a band, and I wanted to be able to sing at least backups. So what I would do is, because I was such a huge Metallica fan, I would sit in the car or wherever, and I would sing along with Metallica over and over. And I swear it's just me trying to sound like that. When I first started learning how to sing, it just kind of happened that way. I didn't expect to sound anything like them, really. Like when I recorded myself separate from it, I always thought I blended in good in the car. But so when I pulled the car away and I sang, and people were like, "Hey, you sound like James," I I guess it's kind of weird, actually.
You could actually be James in a Metallica tribute band, like no problem.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know.
Thanks.
You're mentioning. Well, we'll get. We'll get into the writing material and stuff like that. But you mentioned teaching, which is very, very cool because you're being self-taught and kind of just learning. And I'm not saying this negatively. I mean, it's how a lot of us learned back then. It's like scattered pieces of information and trying to put it all together into something meaningful. And you went from that to teaching, so that's very, very cool. You obviously were able to make all that random stuff concise that you can now deliver it to somebody else. So how did that teaching start?
That started because I knew somebody that worked at the conservatory in Stratford, and she was short guitar teachers. She had too many students, so she knew that I played, and she asked me if I'd be interested in coming in and teaching just to alleviate some stress. So I did, and I actually quite liked it. I found that a lot of the problems I ran into that I had to find my own way around, I could help people dodge by my experience. So I kind of knew where they were going to hit hiccups or certain things that would cause them to plateau, or I know how to kind of bump them over that so that they can move through it quicker or learn something quicker, or little tricks that I had figured out in my learning, right? So yeah, I've always kind of enjoyed it. It's rewarding when people take it seriously enough and they practice and they're dedicated, and then you can watch them grow. That's fun. Yeah,
nothing worse than you pouring your whole soul into this thing, and then the kid comes back, the adult or whoever it is comes back the following week, and then you're just repeating what you did a week before because they haven't.
Oh yeah.
I
still deal with that. That just sucks.
Yeah,
I deal with that all the time. Yeah.
That
mom and dad want them to be musicians. They don't want to be a musician.
Oh yeah. You get a lot of that, do you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Shit, that's crazy.
No, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You keep trying anyways. You try and find the amount of Taylor Swift and Kelly Clarkson and Justin Bieber I've had to teach to try and get people motivated is disgusting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for somebody like yourself, and I think for me too, I mean, I would feel this way. It's like I would have given my left, to be able to get lessons back in the day. Your parents were paying for them, and you don't even give a shit. And meanwhile,
that's right.
We're dying back in the day, like trying to getting these Hal Leonard books and learning how to play, roll your boat. What I mean?
Or the Batman theme or something.
The Batman theme, or watching some guy on TV and trying to figure out what his hands are doing, and meanwhile you're putting it out there on a silver platter, and they don't want it. Yeah, that would drive me nuts. That would absolutely drive me nuts. Yeah. So, here's a question from Spacey Jazzy. Hetriani, I've been to Stratford. Went to the Shakespeare Festival 1 year. Cool.
Nice. Yeah. It's known for that. It's a beautiful place to visit. It's kind of boring to live there.
Yeah, I could only imagine. Well, and I mean, we were talking off air, and I know where you are now, and I would imagine it's the same problem where it's a small place, and there's probably not a lot of people out there to play with, right?
You're right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you're isolated, even in the bigger towns around me. There's a music scene, but it's not one I want to be part of for the style, I guess. I mean, I'm looking for, I like the heavy metal stuff, and sadly, the people that play that are very few and far between. And if they're doing it, they're already in a band or they're already doing something. So,
right.
I don't want to shoehorn myself into something or try and steal somebody away from something. I'm not like that. So I just kind of, I just do my own thing, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You kind of, it's tough because the getting in with a group of people to play with, it's you got to have the same, want to play the same material. You have to
Right.
be at the same or relatively close skill level. That's the other thing too, right?
Yep.
And with I mean, you're mentioning heavy metal, like that's not, you got to have a damn good drummer for one,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? It's all about the drums and the guitars for that, the bass too, right? But you know what I mean? It's
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah.
it's technically tricky to play. It's not like, I want to do I want to play CCR. It's it's not like that, right?
No, it's a little different than that.
You gotta have chops. Well, what I'm getting at is, pretty. You can play CCR with 3 chords, and
Right.
you gotta have chops to play metal. Is what I'm getting at. So yeah, I can imagine that's it's hard to find a match for that for sure.
That they're available to do it, or want to do it.
Right.
Like I've met some incredible musicians up here. They're already doing stuff, or they have their own plans, or so you're still just kind of sitting there on your own.
Now, let me ask you this, because back in the day, is the tragically hip virus still happening? In what I mean by that is, like, back like when I would visit there more often, which would have been like in the 90s, right?
Right.
More Kingston, actually. And it's like every
Yeah.
time I walk into, it's like, oh yeah, I pick up a guitar, I don't know their name. So and so from Tragically.
Neither do I.
So and so from Tragically Hip was just in here, and he was trying to get, like, the guy's trying to sound like, I'll give him rat's ass. Tragically Hip. It's like everywhere you go, it's like everybody you meet, I they're the best band in the world, or I washed this car, or I walked this dog, or so that whole,
Yeah, I don't run into that.
oh, thank God. That
I know.
drove me nuts, man.
No, like I said before, the best I get is, I'm from the town of Justin Bieber, right? So I'll get questions about that more than I get anything about the Tragically Hip. I prefer the Tragically Hip, but
yeah, well, yeah, the 2 Eagles, right? Oh, it's funny because when you mentioned Strat, I didn't even know Bieber was from Stratford. So my condolences, man. Or if you're from Napanee, it's what's that? Oh shit! What's that girl? She's a big deal.
Avril Lavigne.
That's it. Yeah. I was Avril Lavigne. Yeah. Anyways, all right. I'm getting off topic here. So, does this dude live in Kingston, Ontario? Says CK. You're 45 minutes, an hour out from.
Yeah, about an hour or so.
About an hour. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what I was saying. So we were talking at length off air about, about music and composing and stuff like that, and and what I was saying to Hetriani is, I mean, what I love about his first of all, your original stuff I think is awesome. It's off the charts, and you've got all the technical chops and ability, but you have that that melodic sense, which now that you mentioned, you try to inject Satch into it. Like now I can put those 2 pieces together, right? So
right.
And I notice a guitar that you play quite often. Is that like your? I don't even know what model guitar that is. Is that like your main axe? Like what
yeah,
guitar wise, what do you sort of, where do you go to?
Well, I'll always go to my Destroyer first. I don't know, I've had it forever. I got it for like $200.
You with all the time. So that's a Destroyer.
Yeah.
Ibanez.
An Ibanez Destroyer.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And the pickups in that can do just about anything. Like it's the most versatile guitar I think I've ever owned in my entire life.
Really? Wow.
I can do 99% of what I want to do, whether it's lead, rhythm, funk, blues, jazz, all that stuff. I can do it all on that and make it believable. Like it just can do whatever I want. I have a premium I use and an S that I use, Ibanez as well. But I go to the Destroyer first every time. Now,
your stuff, I mean, not only is it great musically, but it sounds fantastic. What are you using to record with? Like I mean, you're using, I'm assuming, some kind of a drum machine, right? And are you playing?
Yeah.
And you're playing like run me through that when you're recording a piece of music. What kind of gear are you using to record these things with?
Do you want to know my secret weapon? It's my old Line 6 Pod XT.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Almost everything you guys hear is something I've made on that. And I tweak it until it sounds the way I want it to sound. And so many people laugh at me about it, but I mean, it's brilliant. I've had this for, well, not this particular one. I had to buy another one because my other one I had to sell earlier. But yeah, I've been using it for 20 years, and it just made life so easy. In the one band I was doing things, we could just take that instead of my amp. Like I've tried Marshall, Trainer, all kinds of different amps, and I like them all for different things.
Right.
But I could never find the sound I wanted out of an amp and a guitar combo, even with pedals and all that stuff. It would work good for a while, and then I'd want something different, and then I'd have to change a whole bunch of stuff. With this, I can just tweak it and set a patch, and away I go. So if I'm in that mood, I will click that button.
Okay, cool.
That's how I go.
So you're recording that direct. So what software are you using?
Studio 1.4, I think.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
the PreSonus one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. And are you doing the bass as well?
Yeah, I play bass as well.
Oh, okay. All right. And how you're recording?
Unless Gary Hubbs feels that I need it amped up a little more, and then he covers my song for me to make it sound good. Which I gotta admit, man, that sounded way better after he did it than it did before. I'm a fake bassist. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
You're playing. So you're doing that. You're playing the bass direct, and then what are you using for programming drums?
I have one that's built into the PreSonus thing.
Okay.
It comes with. I also have a Steven Slade plugin that I use. I got from my friend Noah, and I mean, it works okay. I'm not really great at programming, mainly because I'm not a drummer. So I have things happening that you couldn't physically do. Do you know what I mean? Unless you were an octopus. But no, well, I go for vibe, right? So
yeah. I mean, I'm blown away because it sounds great. It sounds great. It's like I'm using an XT and I'm using PreSonus, and I got it's like wow. I mean, the finished products are fantastic. Really.
Well, thank you. It's good to know it's working.
Oh, it's definitely working. And then your videos, man. Some of the videos you shot. I remember.
Well, that's all my wife. That's all my wife. Yeah,
really?
that Nightmares one.
That's the one I was going to talk about.
That was her whole brainstorm. She decided this is what we're doing for it, and I just did as I was told, and it turned out like that. And I'm quite happy with it. She's fantastic. She took a lot of time and took a lot of ribbon from me, and got us out acting, which is fine with me because I had to wear a mask, but her sister had to play the victim, and she did fantastic. But I'd feel absolutely silly trying to act like that in front of all these people that are walking around in this nature area.
Yeah.
But
it
was fun.
On you or anything. Guys walking around with a hatchet, hey. What's wrong with the picture? Yeah. That's funny. No, but that video was killer, man. It was killer.
Well, thanks.
So with the songs that you're doing, are you with my stuff? I'm putting everything up on DistroKid. Are you doing that with yours, or are they strictly YouTube things and that's it?
It's been tossed around to go to DistroKid. I mean, Gary Hubbs has talked to me about it. Jade Starr has talked to me about it, and I intend to do it. I have yet to do it. So right now it's just on YouTube that I put anything.
Okay, so here's I'll give you my experience with DistroKid, and I'll tell you why I'm doing it. Okay. I'm making nothing on it, so that's not why I do it. Like
All right.
I think I've amassed like a fortune of 13 cents on all my releases at this point. Okay. So I'm making nothing on it, but that's not why I did it. I did it because of copyright. I don't want somebody taking my thing and then using it as their theme song, or like I've already had my logo
Right.
stolen, like that Guitar Hack logo that's in the corner.
Really?
Yeah, that
Holy
got
moly.
stolen. Yeah. So there's some South American music store that's using that logo. And somebody in the
Oh,
community
wow.
found it, saw it, and then sent me an email about it. And I'm like, it's not a registered trademark. I can't do anything about it, right?
Ah,
So, you know, I mean,
really?
you know, and somebody made that for me, right? So she's not getting
Yeah.
credit for it either, right? So, but so I didn't want that to happen with the music, and when I was looking into it, somebody said, you know what? It's like when you upload it, it's yours. And if you know, so you know, people, you know how you get copyright claims for using other people's stuff, right?
Yep.
Well, if they
Constantly.
play my
Yep.
stuff, they're going to get a copyright claim from DistroKid. So that's the only reason why I did it, is I just didn't want it to get used somewhere else. I want to at least know about it, right?
Exactly. Well, that makes sense.
You know,
I
so
definitely want to do it. I just got to
it's
get
cheap.
around to
It's
it.
like $20 a year. It's very cheap.
Yeah.
You know, unless you get there, I think there's like different tiers. I got the cheap one. I think it's like $20. Then you just pay that every year, and that way your stuff is because you know the level of stuff that you're putting out. You know, I mean, somebody could take that and use that in a car commercial or something. You know what I mean? It's like it's high quality,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Or they could make it a theme song for, I don't know, whatever, right? So
Right.
I would seriously think about, for no other reason than that. You know, but
Well, I'll definitely do that. That's for sure.
yeah, I mean,
I never even thought of that end of it. Do you know what I
oh
mean? Like that never came up to me. So
well,
I was just like, I never thought of that side of it.
yeah, well, somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody, I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, yeah, if you want your stuff copyrighted, put it on DistroKid. So
Make good sense.
yeah, that's how you protect yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So so let's talk about when you're coming up with stuff. Like, are you sitting there with a guitar? Because everybody's got a different way to come up with material, right?
Right.
And you do the instrumentals, but you also do you have songs with vocals. You do both. So
Right.
is it like the same for either one? You just sit there with a guitar and you start hearing stuff, or like you are you the guy that sits there with a guitar and you just stumble across stuff, or are you like driving and then you get an idea in your head, or is it both?
It's both. I can sit down with the guitar. Sometimes I'll come up with something. I find that if I'm sitting with the guitar trying to write something, I come up with the same predictable crap that I always do.
Mm-hmm.
So the better stuff happens when I'm not holding an instrument and I'm like in the car, or, you know, I've been just watching TV and come up with something in my head, and then coming down, getting the instrument, trying to figure out how to play what I wanted to hear in my head. Right. So that to me is probably my favorite way of finding something, but it's not to say that I haven't sat down and come up with a riff or a lick or something, just goofing around, and, you know, been able to quick get it and record it and not forget it.
And
but I generally do it the other way. Like I'll come up with it in my head first and then try and find it.
Yeah, that's when you get your more original ideas, I think, right? Because you're not using the guitar to dictate what you're going to do. You're just
Right.
music. It's just pure music, and then you're
Exactly.
making it work. Yeah, like I'm the same way. Some of my best riffs, I'm just sitting there and a riff will pop in my head. If I don't have a guitar around, I don't know if you do this, I'll sing it into my phone.
All the time.
Well, yeah.
Don't want to forget it. Yes.
Yeah. And then you
Yep.
get in, and then it's like, oh, you got the guitar in your hand, and then you're trying to find it on the guitar. And then, you know, I'll have like 7-8 riffs just sung into my phone. And sometimes you'll have almost like a library of stuff, right?
Yep.
And you might have a riff that doesn't work, and then like 5 or 6 songs down the line, it's like, wait a minute, that riff from 2 months
That'll
ago
work.
will work.
Yep.
You're that guy too, right?
I am. Yep. You got the library, you know which one to go to. You've been fighting to find a place to put that one riff because you love it, but it doesn't work with anything. And then one day, it just happens. And
yeah, and it's like you hear it in your head. It's like, well, wait a minute. Oh, and then you're composing on. Yeah, I love that whole process. I love that making stuff up. I think that's like so much fun, right? The recording part is a pain in the ass.
It is that.
I absolutely hate the recording part. You just want to get it done and get it out, and yeah, it's painful.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and for you, you're doing it all on your own, so you got to be the guy. You're not just you got to play it right. You got to get the right sound. You got to mic it right. You got to mix it, and all that stuff. I have the. I'm lucky. I just play it. Somebody records it and makes it sound good after the fact. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
yeah. So, how do you figure if you're going to throw a vocal on that, or if you're going to make it an instrumental? How do you determine that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think with the instrumental stuff, it's more of a vibe. Like I can tell if I want to sing on something by how it sounds. Mm-hmm. Like if I get, I don't know how to explain this. If I hear a riff and it's, really chugging and stuff, I might instinctively want to sing on it. So I'll record it and I'll maybe throw it in the car. And then when I'm driving to work, I'll maybe see what I'll sing along with it, see if I can come up with some kind of a melody or something that works. If I can't, it becomes an instrumental. If I can do that. Some of them aren't set up that way, but otherwise they just sit in my computer and rot until I can figure something out. But most of the time, when I come up with the idea, I kind of already know by how I feel about it if I want to sing on it or if I want to just, write a melody on guitar and do it as an instrumental.
Yeah, well, isn't it maybe a factor too? And because for me, it's like, how busy is it?
That's true too,
right? If you're basically hitting chords and there's not a lot going on, you're either going to do one of two things. You're going to sing a vocal line over it, or you're going to play a guitar part over it, and then you can decide, okay, do I want to sing a melody or do I want to make that into an instrumental, right?
Right.
If there's
I've had ones like that where I've started to do the instrumental and turned around halfway and did singing, but used what I was writing as the instrumental as the vocal line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they can shift to like halfway through. I'll be, this would be way better if I sang it, or it would be way better if I don't sing this. So I'll just play guitar. So I agree with that too. Like it can kind of swing halfway through the process.
Yeah. And then if you got like something that's like a really involved riff, well, how are you going to squeeze a vocal on that? It's just going to, you know what I mean? And that
right.
For me anyway, that oftentimes will dictate most of my stuff. I generally try to do strictly instrumentals because I wish I could sing as well as you. I can't sing to save my life, but that's why I try to do strictly instrumentals all the way through. But yeah, that's cool. It's interesting. We have a lot in common in how we approach.
Yeah.
That, and when you're doing it, are you following the formula? We're like, as if it was, whether it's an instrumental or not, are you following like verse, chorus, bridge?
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to, because that's all the songs I listen to. That's how they've always done it.
Right.
So I have tried to break away from that in different ways, but I always end up that's my first formula all the time is, there's an intro, then there's a verse, then there's a chorus, then, another verse and maybe two choruses and then a solo and, something like that. But yeah, it kind of follows that same pattern every time.
Now, I wonder if you have this in common with me, especially when it comes to instrumentals. I'm always worried about listener fatigue.
Yes.
Like hearing that same part, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to play, even if it's the same lick, like if you have sort of that's what I'm looking for, like the recognizable, like the hook thing for it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
like my words aren't coming today, but I'll never play it the same twice. Or if I play it, so let's say that was one verse. If then I come back to that same verse with that same lick, I won't do it the same. I'll do it different. I'll either add a tail to it, or I'll play like a variation on it. Are you're thinking that too? Because
yeah, you have to. Otherwise, it just becomes stagnant and boring. Yeah. So you're. I know exactly what you mean. Like if you've got like that chorusy hook part that you want to keep coming back to, how do you stop that from just being bland after the third time they've heard it or whatever? And there's adding tails, harmonizing it, I find works pretty good too.
Harmonizing.
And I jump to the octave a lot, but like sometimes doing like the third is way more, like there's something more musical about that than the octave just being the same notes. Just anything you can do to make it, build. So I'll leave the first one as plain as it was, and then as the song progresses, I build it up. So
right,
yeah,
that's the way. It's like you're serving up the riff, right? Uncluttered. Okay, now you know what that is. Now I'm going to serve you up the same thing, but I'm going to add another another layer to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how I approach it. It's like you're building, right?
Right. Yeah. And then I'll generally try and end kind of the way I started, to bring it back down from the climax of the song. Like once you've built it up to that point, you want to kind of bring it back down. Well, not always, but if I do, I'll try it. Then I'll end up doing it as plain on the way back out.
I always remember like when you're listening to like Jimmy Page talk about Zeppelin and the whole light and shade thing, or Sabbath, Tony Iommi, his formula was heavy, and then there was it would mellow, and then it would be heavy again. He always had those kind of transitions as you go through the song, and I try to incorporate that too in my stuff, where it'll be like a heavy tune, and then all of a sudden it just mellows the fuck out for like a while.
Yeah.
Back, right. You know what I mean? And it's the whole time I'm thinking, I don't want the listener I don't want them to know what's coming before it's coming. I want them to be surprised and interested.
Right.
Oh, Hippie, thank you so much. Hippie just gave us a super chat.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, he said, okay.
That's because Hippie rules.
Your biggest, yeah.
Oh, what? No. He doesn't want that. He's just
What's your biggest, yeah.
Yeah, he wants me to do that, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what he's like. No, that's what he said.
I might.
You have to wait till yeah.
We'll see. Maybe I'll just spring it out halfway through a sentence or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So is that something that you're thinking about too? Like, heavy, mellow, and then heavy again, or?
Yeah,
dynamically.
No, I don't think I do in that, the mellow and the heavy part. That one, I do know what you mean, what you're trying to say, but I don't think I consciously think of that.
Oh, okay.
That's something that I just, because sometimes I don't want the mellow. Like I don't know how to word that either. There's times where I'll write something where I'll try and sneak something a little more laid back halfway through or something, or try and change it, but I want to keep that wall of power just keep going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want it to ebb. I want it to just keep crushing the whole way through, and then I have to fight against my urge to change it. So I have had that side of it.
Well, I think that goes back to like your influences, right? Because that's sort of the Metallica school,
Yeah,
right?
Kind of is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, even the stuff that I come up with, I mean, it's all you can hear every band I like is in every song I do, right? It's like, so because the stuff that I listen to has that light and shade and heavy and light, and that, so and those are all really devices. It's the whole time. It's just I don't know if you're like this, but the whole time it's like, man, I don't want to be boring. I don't want to go to sleep for the second part because I heard it in the first part. I don't want that. I want everything all the way through, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. I do think about that constantly. It's like, watching your retention on your, on your videos.
Yeah.
That's devastating. You shouldn't even look at that. That shouldn't even be an
No.
analytic.
No.
Because that, you've got this part in a song, say like you built this song and you get to a certain part and that's your favorite part. It's got a wicked groove, or it's super heavy, or
Right.
it's got a cool solo,
I know where you're going.
and you'll watch it drop long before it ever hits that.
Yeah.
And it's like, never mind.
I got
Like,
I got this killer part that comes in at 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and everybody shuts it off at 1 minute and 10 or something. I know exactly.
exactly.
You know, I know
It just sucks. You look at it, you bow your head and think, I should have started with that.
Like I got this, talking about moving riffs and old stuff and whatever, right? There's one I did a couple of weeks ago, Mental Lapse, right?
Yep.
It's called Mental Lapse. Anyways, it ended, and it ended, and it was it ended, and it was D minor. And then I remembered way back, I have this old riff that's in D minor, and then I pulled it out, and it sounds like a Russian polka. It's very System of a Down influenced. I love those guys, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
threw that in. So, but if you don't listen to the end, you don't hear that part. And for me, that's the best part of the whole song. Is that left?
See,
Squire Telecaster, thank you so much. Just give us a super chat, $20. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. Let me know if anyone's got questions.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's like the most super chats I've ever gotten on any show. You want to come back next week? Oh dear Lord. Anyway, but you know what I mean? So that's like my favorite part of the song, and it's at the very end.
Right. Should have made it the intro. See?
Yeah, but then the whole rest of the song would have sounded like crap, because it's totally, it's a total left turn. I'm doing a left turn with my right hand, but you know what I mean? Like it's totally. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I love those. That's why I like bands like System of a Down. I mean, I can go on to them with them forever. They're playing like the wickedest heavy groove, and then they just stop on a dime, and then they start doing some weird Russian polka thing. I fucking love that. I love that. They just drop that right in the middle of the song, like just to screw with you, and then they get back to the heavy riff. I love those guys.
I need to do more of that stuff. Maybe I should be doing more of that stuff.
But some of the thing is, like you got, like we were talking off air, and I was saying how, we were talking about Daniel Horsley's thing, right? So for those of you that don't know, Daniel Horsley put out basically a really cool blues rock track and asked people to play over it. So, Hetriani did it, I did it, a number of folks did it, and we were talking off air, and I was saying I really like what Hetriani did, because that's the difference between having somebody who's a schooled musician who looks at that, and it's like all kinds of possibilities, and somebody like myself who's untrained and kind of looks at that and go, oh, that's a blues in A, so like I'm in a box, right? And you did some really interesting, cool stuff with that, and I didn't really hear a hell of a lot of blues in what you were doing. I mean, it was very musical, but no, that was cool. That was refreshing, right? Well,
thanks. Yeah. It's like I said, I wanted to, when I heard it, I thought it was an amazing track, but I knew I was going to hear a ton of pentatonic on it from everybody doing it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to try and find a way that I could do something that was kind of way different than everybody else. And then for that, I always go back to Hetriani and coming up with a melody, and that you come back to a couple times in the song, and then doing something where you travel away a bit in the middle. So that was kind of my thought process when I first heard it, is I don't want to do what everybody's going to do. I want to do something different. So what can I do to make it different?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this. Like I can't play blues now to save my life. Like strict blues where you just stay pentatonic. I can't do it. There's some really amazing players that they can get so much mileage out of that. And my hat goes off. My hat goes off to those guys. I've got the utmost respect, man. You could say more in 5 notes than I can say, and but I don't have that ability, right? So I need those other things. I got to add that sixth. I I got to move out of that box, or it just drives me absolutely nuts, right? You know.
Me too. Like if I stuck with just pentatonic, I wouldn't even know what to do because I'd probably bore myself playing the
Yeah.
same things over and over. And you know, the blues players that really know what they're doing, and we know a few of them like that can play it. And
Well, Daniel Horsley is fantastic at it.
Exactly.
He's one guy.
There's a few that just blow my mind. I can't
Actually,
even understand what
I'm
they're
looking
doing.
at R3 in the chat, and he nailed it too. He did a really good job.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. There's a bunch.
R2 rocks for sure.
We got a lot of really, really talented folks in this group, and I'm not blowing smoke. I mean, honestly, we were talking
No,
about.
we do. Yeah.
Really good players.
There's a ton of awesome players here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the cool thing about that is when something like that goes out, right? You hear so many different approaches to it, you know.
Yeah.
Because everybody's bringing their bag of tricks, you know, and everybody's got a different bag of tricks. You know.
Yeah, I actually quite liked hearing all of them. It was nice to see so many different people take part and to be able to, you know, it was kind of like, you know, Christmas every day. You open up YouTube and 2 more people have done that, and well, I know what I'm watching. So, yeah, and it's so cool. I think I just watched, I think it was Lars Guitars today. He did pretty fantastic on his too. He did. I think it just went up today.
Yeah, he did today. Yeah, very cool. Cushman, New York City, with a million question marks, is asking, can we see the Destroyer?
Sure. Just give me 2 seconds here. It doesn't leave my side.
See, for whatever reason, I had no idea that was a Destroyer. For whatever, it looks
a little damaged, but
small.
It is absolutely danky.
Right?
It's tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah.
That's why I didn't think it was because I remember them being the size of a Gibson Explorer.
No, the Iceman is. Is that what you're thinking of?
Pardon?
The Iceman is kind of similar to the
Destroyer. No, not the Iceman. Sorry, the Gibson Explorer.
Right.
I thought it was the same size as that, like the body size.
No, the Iceman is. The Iceman looks almost identical.
I'm a Kiss fan, so I know what an Iceman is. That's all.
Okay, so is that what you're saying? Like this size-wise, though?
No, so when I always thought that the Ibanez Destroyer, right?
Oh, just its size would
physically
be the same.
Was the same size. So I didn't think that was because I know what an Ibanez Destroyer is, but I never thought that was one because it seemed smaller. I always imagined they were bigger. Yeah. I've never, they just look bigger.
That's the only one I've ever seen.
Oh, is that right? I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. Maybe there was they were making them smaller. They started big and made them smaller. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the Explorer is a big guitar. Well, I've got a Firebird.
Yeah.
Almost the same size. So, yeah.
It's a nice Firebird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with it. That's Firebird number 2. Anyway, yeah. What about acoustic guitars? No acoustic?
I have one at work. That's about the only one I've got. I've got the one hanging up in it's that side back. It's my dad's from when he was a kid. It doesn't work very well. You could play it. I have a 12-string, but it needs some strings.
Oh man, 12 strings are like the biggest pain in the ass.
They are, but I mean, they sound fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, once you tune them up and get them all set up, yeah. But just if something goes wrong with them, man, it's all right.
I just take it to the store and say, "Here, guys, you put the strings on it for me, please."
Yeah, that's right.
Good that way. Take me forever.
That's the benefit of working at a music store, right?
Yep.
So what do you got coming up? Are you got any more collabs coming up, or are you doing some more original solo stuff, or what's coming up for you?
I have a few undercover collabs, top secret ones. Yeah, I know. I want to talk about them, but I can't.
Yeah,
and then I've got a couple other ones that are just about done. And I'm working on 2 originals of my own right now. So I'm hoping one will be maybe about a month. And yes, there will be singing on that one again. Someone asked me about that. And yes, this one has singing again.
So like is that a month? Is that normal for you to come up with an original, completed, finished?
That's quick. It takes me a long time. I pick at things until it's, I'm afraid I'm killing the spontaneity and the energy in the song because I've overdone it.
Well, that's what I'm getting. That's where I'm going. It's like, are you including all the time to record it, make it sound the way you want in that month?
Yes.
Oh, not the
in that month.
Not composing it. Composing it is probably quick.
No, composing it's done. It's getting the tones that I want and
Right.
the sounds and figuring out what I want for, if I want to solo at all or if I want to, what I want to do here. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And the recording it and then trying to mix it as best I can. I have someone that will help me with that stuff too. At work, Noah is awesome. He will do all kinds of stuff to help me out and mastering and stuff like that. He tends to do that stuff for me because I can't master anything.
Well, it's good to always have another set of ears too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, we got a question from Melissa Rushlow. Do you have more vids on the go?
Do I have what?
More videos coming up.
Oh yeah. Yep. I absolutely do.
Okay. And Don, our good friend Don, is asking, Hetriani, you started at 17. How long before you developed speed, and did someone show a particular picking technique?
Speed, I think it took me maybe about 5 years before I felt that I had speed that I could even remotely talk about as speed, not just playing. And it wasn't as much a picking technique as it was legato. It was watching Hetriani lessons on VHS and stuff like that, watching him play live on VHS tapes, all that kind of stuff back in the day. I would just try and emulate what he was doing, and that kind of realizing I only needed to pick once, and my fingers, if I were coordinated and strong enough, could take care of the other notes. And then I would use a metronome and try and I try and get it on the beat as best I could with the pick, and then try and get my fingers to fill in the gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Between the clicks, and usually it fell into a pretty good spacing. So once I could get that rolling, then it was moving my hand from like one position up and down and being able to follow the scale shapes up and down. That took a bit more time too, but once you get the first part down, the rest kind of it's a slippery slope. It gets faster to learn it and be able to do it.
Yeah, a ton of wood shedding, I would imagine, right?
Yeah,
lots of wood shedding. Yeah, Melissa's saying any more vids because she, like we were talking about that nightmare one, she said was killing. So there you go.
Oh, one like that, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think she means like
an actual vid,
a production video. Yeah, something like that.
Yes, we will probably do one for my new one. So I'm hoping around a month or so there will be another actual video.
Okay, we got two more. Hey, Rick Romanelli, how are you, man? He's saying, is that a Vox Pathfinder, and did you do the LED mod?
No and no. I'm not even sure what that one is. I got it as a gift. I don't use it yet. I use very little for amps. I have an orange and I have a spider and I have a PV and I have the box. But like I said, most of my stuff is all done through this XT Live, which makes me sound really terrible. But
no, it's whatever works, man. There was one. Oh, Ian Luckett. Hey, Ian, how are you? He's asking, where would you most like to play live?
Wow, never really thought of that one.
Anywhere at this point.
Yeah, just to play live.
Just to play.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to go to Russia. I think that'd be a great place to go. Absolutely. That'd be a fun one.
Well, they certainly like their heavy metal in Russia.
They do, right? I'd be appreciated somehow.
There you go. Big conquering hero in Russia. First thing they'd ask you, hey, aren't you from Beavertown?
Probably.
I'm kidding. They wouldn't.
Then I'd have to leave.
Sorry, guys, I'm out of here. Yeah,
I'm leaving.
yeah. So cool. Got some stuff coming up. That's cool. Let me know, folks, if there's any further questions. R2 would like to play in Hawaii. Oh, here's a question from Darren. What Metallica song pumps you up the most?
Ooh.
Peace, bro.
Ooh. Probably Battery.
Oh, yeah.
Battery would probably pump me up the most. Yep. Cool question.
Yeah. You know what? The song, I'm good with Metallica, like most people, probably up until the Black Album. But, and then after that, no. But one song that I really like is The Thing That Should Not Be off of Master of Puppets. That riff is just crushing. Absolutely crushing.
No doubt.
Slow and just da-na-na-na. Oh, man. When that used to come on, I used to lose my freaking mind. That's totally Godzilla destroying, Yeah, this guy right here. It's my Quentin James t-shirt, and Quentin's not here. Bugger.
What? No Quentin? Really?
Got my Quentin t-shirt today, and he's not here. Andy Dion is saying sushi makes you play faster, right?
Absolutely. Limbers it all up. Yep. Fish is good for the joints.
Brian Spalding is asking, Hetriani, do you have a band or folks you want to be in a band? Hang on, it moved. Or folks you want to be in a band with to play your music?
No, not right at the moment anyway. I don't know enough people around here to have a band with that would play what I play or what I would like to play. Yeah. That are already in bands or whatever. Sad.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to find people. Ian Luckett, who else has collaborated with both you fine gentlemen? Shameless, but hey ho. Well, who else has collaborated with you?
Who else has collaborated with me?
Yeah, well, he's asking both of us, but I think he's collaborated with more people than I have.
I think. See, I can't say. See, I'm going to slip and say something I'm not supposed to say now. Francis and Andy Dion and Ian, and I'm trying to think of anybody else that isn't coming up that I'm not supposed to say anything about. Help me out here, guys. Someone's got to remember if I've missed anybody. Come on. I think that's it. I'm not sure. I've been doing a lot of them, so I'm losing track.
Yeah,
and I know I've got some that are done but not out, so I don't want to say them yet.
Yeah. I've got one that's done.
Matt 7.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I've got one. I've got a lot less than you. I got one that's done, that's not out, so I don't want to blow that one. Mark Wade, I've done. Ian, I did one with Ian. I did one with Lefty Mike a long time ago. I think that's it. I haven't done a hell of a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh, we got to do one.
Yeah, we could do one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Money is no issue. What guitar do you buy? This is from Truth Guitar Method.
Yeah. Money is no issue. I would really like the Guthrie Signature Charvel.
Oh, those are nice.
I've
held it in my hands and I've played it. It is amazing.
Oh, but they're like what?
Oh, stupid.
4,300?
Yeah, they're over.
It's insane.
They're over $4,000. You know what? In Toronto, there's a store called Cosmo Music, and that's the only place I've seen it. I mean, because they carry all the high end stuff there, right? That's where you find your Friedman guitars and your Sirs and all the high end stuff that nobody else has. They have it all there. So that's where I saw it.
Nice. Yeah, see, I'd love that.
Okay. Let's see. There was one other question. Oh, CK is asking, how did you discover Metallica? But we think we covered that.
Did we cover it here or when we were talking?
No, I think no. When I asked you,
Yeah, I think
you got started playing in your cousin's car.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Autism Rock's favorite Satriani album. He's asking. We have Surfing with the Alien. Any recommendations?
My favorite Satriani album is probably Flying in a Blue Dream. I absolutely love that album. Another one that I really thought was fantastic was Crystal Planet.
Yeah, that was a more recent one, right?
Yeah.
Gary Hubbs is asking, do you need any bass done, bro?
You'll be the guy I go to, Gary. Don't you worry.
Fandango.
Was he not here when I said that earlier? Yes.
Gary
He's my bass guy.
Gary Hubbs is asking again, Marshall or Mezza Boogie? Well, I know my answer for that. That's be Marshall for me.
I'd probably go Mesa.
Yeah, for what you play, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Melissa's got another one. If you could play with any professional musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
That would probably be Satch. I would love to get on stage with that man.
That'd be cool.
That would be a lot of fun. If I don't get stage fright, which I'm sure I would.
Check it out. This blows my mind. The awesome people in the chat know my life better than me. Mitch Heyman just reminded me that I did one with Jimmy Guitar Meets Science. That is correct. Yes, I did.
There you go.
Oh, yes. I can't even remember what I did. Let's see. Are we at? Okay, I don't see any. Oh, Andy Dion, pick brand and gauge. Guess he's talking strings.
Does he mean like what pick do I use? Or is he asking strings?
I think he's meaning, pick a brand and gauge of strings. If that's not what you're asking, Andy, can you? Well, let's go with that for now.
Well, I can do.
No, do
yeah,
both.
That's fine. Yeah, I can do both. I do the 942 NYXL, and then I have these bad boys here. I don't know what that is. Ernie Ball Prodigies. Tiny little pick.
Oh, no, they're the same size as the JD3s, more or less.
More or less, yeah.
Gas picks, yeah. The thickness of the pick, Mr. Rock, welcome. He's asking.
The thickness of the pick? This is 1.5.
Oh, okay, so no flex on that, baby.
No, sir. Yeah. I want the string to go where I tell it to.
I can throw the string. Yeah. Okay, cool. Here's another one. Truth Guitar Method, Hetriani. If you could buy a 7-string guitar and it was an Ernie Ball John Petrucci 7 in Fire Mist Gold, who would you gift it to? I guess this is an inside joke, right?
It would definitely be going to this Joel guy I know. He's got a YouTube channel called Truth Guitar Method. Gives some great lessons. You should check him out.
There you go.
But that's who I'd give it to.
Yeah, well, it's pretty specific. I figured it must have been an inside. Yeah. All right, folks, we're almost 9:10, 10 minutes after here. So let me know if anybody else has any questions. In the meantime, I just want to mention a couple of things. If you guys would like to support the Guitar Hack channel, that would be much appreciated. I have links below for Guitar Hack merch. I've got mugs, I've got hoodies, I've got t-shirts, all that. If you want a Guitar Hack hat, I have those as well. They are through Spreadshirt. There is also a PayPal there as well, which would be much appreciated. Also, if you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I have a Guitar Hack group. All of those links are below. And if for any reason you don't know who Hetriani is, I have his link to his YouTube channel below too. So I would highly suggest you give him a sub, because he is and I'm not saying this because he's here and I'm not blowing smoke, but I think he's one of the top guys in our community, hands down. Brian S. Guitar Hack, ask Hetriani if he has tried The Hetfield White Fang picks. They've become my favorites.
No,
Yeah.
I've heard about them, but I've never tried it.
Oh, surprised they don't carry them in the store.
No, we don't.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to go take a look at that. Actually, I never even thought of that.
yeah, they're very cool. They're very cool. The white, it's like a picture of like a wolf on it, and it's got a texture to it. I don't know how thick they are though. I don't think they're as thick as 1.5. I don't think they're that thick.
Still worth taking.
Lady Gnome is asking, would you ever do a Bowie cover?
Yes, I would. And I will. Eventually. I don't want to get too specific, but I will do a Bowie cover. Just for no.
Okay, the Falcrow is asking, would I consider adding a do-rag in my signature merch? Asking for myself. I don't think they have do-rags available. I do have actually. I now have Guitar Hack masks and gaiters, so I guess you could put it on your head. I don't, it wouldn't quite look like a do rag, but yeah. All right, okay. Metalhead Hippie saying, great interview. Hetriani is an awesome player and individual. Peace, and he still wants you to go. Yeah.
Warm that shit up, man. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I hope
I don't know if that
came
came
hear
through
that.
very well.
And I blew out my speakers.
Sorry, I can't do it quiet. I warned you.
Exactly. You gotta be screaming your ass off. All right. So yeah, so hope you enjoyed the interview, folks. Any last things you wanted to mention before we wrap this up?
No, I'm good. I had a great time. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, man. This was a little tricky with your work schedule, but I'm glad we were able to do it. And,
I am too.
And you know what? I think a collaboration might be. You got to keep it easy for me, though. I'm an old guy, so
you'll be fine.
You got to keep it in first gear and keep the clutch down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, folks. I want to thank everybody so much for checking out the show. You guys rock. Next week, I will have Jeremy Asbrock, who is a guitar player from the Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons solo band, will be with us next week. And also I'm going to screw up this name. The Rock. I'm going to mess it up. I'm not even going to name it, but he's in another thing in Vegas. He'll tell us about that next week. All right. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for checking out the show. You guys rock. Hetriani, hang on for a second. And we will see you next time. Cheers.
Bye.